My child, please stop for a just moment and listen with your heart. Stay with me until the very end. What you are about to hear is a fictional inspirational story designed to encourage hope, wisdom, and self-reflection. It is not a prediction or a literal message from God. Everything in this story is fictional, and the phrase, "God says," is used only as a symbolic storytelling device to represent timeless wisdom, hope, and the quiet voice of conscience. Imagine the first light of sunrise stretching across a peaceful valley, where the air is cool, the trees stand quietly, and the world feels as though it is waking up one gentle breath at a time. You find yourself walking along a narrow path lined with wildflowers, carrying questions that have remained in your heart for longer than you care to admit. You have wondered whether lasting love is still possible after disappointment, whether broken trust can ever become confidence again, and whether the future holds something beautiful that you simply cannot see yet. They are not answered with certainty or promises, but with hope, patience, and the courage to keep moving forward one step at a time. Perhaps you have spent too much time searching for signs that could remove every doubt from your heart. Picture this. Someone in the story stands at the edge of a still lake every evening, waiting for the water to reveal a mysterious name that would explain everything about the future. Night after night the lake reflects only the stars, reminding them that some answers are not discovered by looking harder but by growing wiser. The more they chase certainty, the farther peace seems to drift away. Yet the moment they stop demanding perfect answers, something inside them begins to change. They notice the gentle wind, the quiet beauty of the mountains, and the strength that has quietly been growing within them all along. Sometimes the greatest discoveries begin when expectations become gentler than fear. What if the surprise you have been waiting for has never been hidden in someone else's identity, but in your own transformation? Think about this for a moment. In the story, a wise old gardener smiles as he tends a garden filled with flowers blooming at different times. None of them are rushed. None of them compete with one another. Every blossom opens exactly when it is ready. The gardener explains that relationships are much the same. Healthy love cannot be forced by anxiety or hurried by impatience. It grows where honesty, kindness, humility, forgiveness, courage, and emotional maturity are planted day after day. Whether this represents someone already in your life or the person you are becoming, let this story remind you that beautiful things often grow quietly before anyone notices them. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the story continuing as the morning slowly gives way to a golden afternoon. The path ahead winds through a peaceful forest where sunlight slips gently between the branches, painting warm patterns across the ground. Every step feels quieter than the last, as though the world itself is inviting you to listen instead of rushing toward an answer. In this fictional story, the symbolic voice of "God says" does not offer a prediction or reveal the future. Instead, it gently reminds the traveler that wisdom often arrives in silence. Perhaps the heart becomes strongest not when every question is answered, but when it learns to walk forward with hope even while some mysteries remain. The trees do not worry about tomorrow's weather before reaching toward the sky. They simply continue growing, season after season, trusting that each day brings exactly what they need to become stronger. Maybe you remember moments when disappointment made you wonder whether opening your heart again was worth the risk. In the story, the traveler carries an old journal filled with names, memories, and dreams that never unfolded as expected. Some pages are stained with tears, while others hold promises that quietly faded with time. For years those pages felt too heavy to leave behind. One evening, gentle rain begins to fall, washing dust from the cover until the traveler realizes something unexpected. The journal is not a prison, it is simply a record of lessons that shaped a wiser heart. Imagine the relief of setting it down beside a peaceful stream, not because the memories no longer matter, but because they no longer control the journey. Forgiveness, in this story, is never about pretending pain did not exist. It is about refusing to let yesterday decide what tomorrow can become. Picture this as the sun begins to set beyond distant mountains, covering the horizon with soft shades of gold, amber, and deep blue. The traveler reaches a quiet hill where an elderly woman is watching birds return to their nests. She smiles and says that people often spend years searching for the perfect person while forgetting to become the kind of person who can build lasting peace with another heart. Her words are simple, yet they remain long after the conversation ends. She explains that kindness is noticed in ordinary moments, honesty grows stronger through difficult conversations, patience is revealed when life refuses to hurry, and genuine love is built through trust that is earned one day at a time. Whether this represents someone already in your life or the person you are becoming, let this fictional story remind you that the strongest relationships are not created by dramatic moments but by thousands of quiet choices made with compassion, respect, and unwavering integrity. The next morning in this fictional story arrives with a sky so clear that it seems to stretch beyond every worry the traveler has ever carried. A gentle breeze moves through a field of tall grass, creating waves that shimmer beneath the early sunlight like an endless ocean of green. Imagine walking through that peaceful landscape without feeling the pressure to discover every answer before taking another step. The symbolic words, "God says," now become less like a voice from outside and more like a reminder of timeless wisdom already growing within the heart. Perhaps the greatest direction in life does not come from chasing certainty but from learning to recognize what is healthy, honest, and life-giving. As the traveler continues forward, each step feels lighter, not because every problem has disappeared, but because hope has quietly become stronger than fear. Think about this. Along the path stands an old wooden bridge crossing a calm river that reflects the open sky above. Beside it sits a quiet craftsman, patiently repairing broken pieces of wood that others believed could never be useful again. The traveler asks why he spends so much time restoring things that seem beyond repair. The craftsman smiles and replies that strong foundations are built through care, patience, and consistency, never through shortcuts. His answer lingers long after the conversation ends. The traveler begins to understand that healthy relationships grow in much the same way. They are shaped by honesty during difficult conversations, humility when mistakes are made, forgiveness when healing is needed, courage during uncertain seasons, and faithfulness through ordinary days. Lasting love is not measured by grand promises but by steady actions repeated with sincerity. It is possible that the person worth waiting for is also learning these same lessons somewhere along their own journey. As evening settles over the hills and countless stars begin to brighten the quiet sky, the traveler reaches a peaceful garden where flowers of every color bloom together without competing for attention. An elderly gardener gently hands the traveler a small wooden plaque with a single word carved into it, "Character." The traveler looks surprised, expecting the beginning of a person's name, but the gardener simply smiles and says, every meaningful name is remembered because of the life behind it. In that quiet moment, something begins to make sense. Perhaps the name everyone keeps searching for has never been about letters spoken aloud but about the qualities that define a life. Whether this represents someone already in your life or the person you are becoming, let this fictional story remind you that kindness, honesty, patience, humility, emotional maturity, courage, forgiveness, and genuine love are the qualities that give every name its true meaning. The greatest surprise has not yet been fully revealed, but the heart is finally beginning to understand where to look. Imagine the journey continuing into the quiet beauty of autumn, where golden leaves drift gently from ancient trees and every breeze seems to carry a lesson that cannot be rushed. The traveler walks along a winding road that follows the edge of a still lake, its surface reflecting clouds that move without hurry across an endless blue sky. In this fictional story, the symbolic phrase, "God says," becomes an invitation to pause and reflect rather than a promise about the future. Perhaps the greatest answers arrive only after the heart has learned to stop demanding certainty. The traveler realizes that every season has prepared them for this moment. The disappointments taught resilience. The delays taught patience. The lonely days revealed hidden strength. Even the unanswered questions quietly shaped a deeper compassion for others. What once felt like wasted time now appears to have been part of a gentle transformation that could never have happened overnight. Picture this. As sunset paints the mountains with warm shades of amber and crimson, the traveler reaches a small cottage surrounded by blooming flowers that somehow flourish even as the seasons begin to change. An elderly couple welcomes the traveler inside with simple smiles and warm tea. Their home is not filled with luxury or perfection, yet peace seems to rest in every corner. Curious, the traveler asks the secret behind such lasting happiness. They smile at one another before answering that love is not sustained by excitement alone. It grows through everyday choices, to listen before speaking, to forgive before resentment takes root, to encourage instead of criticize, to remain honest when honesty feels difficult, and to choose kindness even on ordinary days. Their words settle into the traveler's heart like gentle rain soaking thirsty ground. It becomes clear that healthy love is built long before two people meet, through the character each person develops while walking their own path. As night gently covers the landscape and thousands of stars appear above the quiet hills, the traveler unfolds a small piece of paper that has remained tucked safely inside the old journal since the beginning of the journey. For a long moment there is silence, followed only by the sound of the soft wind moving through nearby trees. The traveler expects to discover a surprising person's name written across the page. Instead, one meaningful word after another begins to appear in the imagination of the story: kindness, honesty, patience, humility, courage, faithfulness, forgiveness, emotional maturity, genuine love. There is no mysterious identity waiting to be revealed, only the realization that these are the qualities that give every name its true beauty. Whether this represents someone already in your life or the person you are becoming, let this fictional story remind you that the greatest relationship is never built upon perfect certainty but upon two hearts that continue choosing growth, respect, trust, and love together, one ordinary day at a time. The final morning of this fictional journey arrives with a sunrise so gentle that the entire horizon seems wrapped in warm light. The traveler stands on a quiet hill overlooking forests, rivers, and distant mountains that once felt impossible to cross. Looking back, every difficult season now appears like a chapter in a much larger story. The symbolic words, "God says," no longer feel like a mysterious announcement about the future. Instead, they have become a reminder that timeless wisdom always points toward growth, compassion, and hope. Imagine breathing in the cool morning air and realizing that peace has quietly replaced the urgency that once filled your heart. The search was never meant to end with discovering a secret name. It was always leading toward discovering the kind of character that allows genuine love to grow. Whether this represents someone already in your life or the person you are becoming, let this story remind you that the strongest relationships are built by two people who continue choosing honesty, humility, forgiveness, courage, patience, and kindness long after the excitement of first impressions has faded. Perhaps this is the greatest surprise hidden within the title all along. That a name that seemed so important was never about identifying one specific person or predicting your future. It symbolized the qualities that make every meaningful relationship possible. Picture this: if two people carry kindness into difficult conversations, honesty into moments of uncertainty, patience through seasons of waiting, emotional maturity through disagreements, and genuine love through ordinary days, their names become remembered not because they were extraordinary, but because their character transformed the lives around them. That is the quiet miracle of this fictional story. Healthy love does not arrive fully formed like a sudden sunrise. It grows like a carefully tended garden, one choice, one conversation, one act of grace, and one faithful step at a time. Hope becomes stronger than fear because it is rooted in truth rather than fantasy, and confidence replaces anxiety because it is built upon steady character instead of impossible expectations. As the traveler begins the walk home beneath an open sky filled with bright morning light, there is no feeling of loss that the promised name was never spoken aloud. Instead, there is gratitude. The greatest discovery has already been made. The future remains unwritten, filled with possibilities that no one can perfectly predict, and that uncertainty no longer feels frightening. It feels full of hope. Whatever relationships may come, they will be strengthened by the person you choose to become today. Let every sunrise remind you that new beginnings are always possible. Let every gentle rain remind you that healing often happens quietly. Let every changing season remind you that growth takes time. Let every peaceful sunset remind you that endings often prepare the way for beautiful beginnings. Above all, carry this simple truth with you. Genuine love grows where honesty, respect, patience, forgiveness, courage, and compassion are practiced every day. Thank you for staying until the very end. If this fictional inspirational story brought you peace, encouragement, or hope, carry that hope into tomorrow. Your best chapter may still be waiting to be written.